Welcome, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Rukia Mohammed, and today, along with my colleagues, we are going to take you through this session on planning lessons and reflecting on the courses that we've done as we get feedback. And as we go to the next slide, I will introduce our speakers for today. Liz, if you can take us to the next slide. So we have Irene Musau, and Irene Musau will say more about herself as she starts speaking. She is a special needs education teacher, and she'll say more about herself. Elizabeth is also a teacher of English and literature, and when she starts speaking, she'll talk more about herself. And Rukia Mohammed is a facilitator, and she'll say more about herself when she starts speaking. So right away, we are going to move to the next slide and start off. I don't know how the weather is where you are. Where we are, for me, it's really raining cats and dogs. So I hope that I'm going to be on and I won't be kicked out. Same as also wishing the same for you guys. So as we start, I just want to check in, and I'm asking myself, if your last lesson was an emoji, which one would it be and why? So you can place that in the chats. I see there are people who are, wherever they are, it's morning. Welcome. So if your last lesson was an emoji, which one would it be? Oh, I see. Someone says it would be a smiley because he was very happy. Thank you. Elizabeth also says, actually, it is a happy face. Amukoe also. It's ish. Maybe you can explain to us why you chose your emoji in the chat. I had a burial on Tuesday. Oh, sorry about that. Then we have Francisca saying she was not feeling well. Sorry about that. We hope that you'll feel better. Oh, we have another happy face because they got a prize. Thank you so much for sharing. You can keep on sharing in the chats as we move on to the next slide. Bridget says, happy week. Happy the week is over. Yeah. So our session today, we are going to cover feedback on the joint courses, as I had mentioned earlier. And also, we are going to look at lesson planning and look at CBC and 844 version of lesson planning and how to adapt the same. We can move. Before this session, we conducted a poll to see where people are at in terms of lesson planning. And as I share the results here, you can see for yourself. I'll read a few charts. We have Lillian. She's happy because it's Friday. I'm having a problem with because I'm in darkness, so I'm not able to read some of the names, so just bear with me, but I can read the messages. Celebrating Saturday, Smileys, happy that at least I have joined the meeting. Oh, wow, thank you. Thank you so much for your feedback. So in the polls, if you can take me back to the poll. Elizabeth, we can go back to the poll. Okay, we asked people which components they were comfortable with, or which components of lesson planning that they had a challenge with. And the highest percentage was on managing time within the lessons. 51% of the people who responded actually said that they faced challenges in managing time within the lessons. Then the second highest one was selecting activities. And then the other one was on objectives, setting the objectives. And the last one was assessing students. So thank you so much for those who responded to this poll. And now, as I do this, I'll usher in Irene Musau Mago to take us through the first segment of our session. Welcome, Irene. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Let me start again. Okay. Thank you for welcoming me, and welcome everyone to the session. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning from where you are. And I'm here, Amago, as you've been told, and I'm here to guide you to present about the feedback on the courses that we've done. We were doing assessing learning and also digital technology. So I hope people have already done the courses. If you've not done, worry not. We have more courses coming in. And so before we dive into our reflections, let's warm up with a quick icebreaker. If you had to describe your experience of these two courses in just one word, what would it be? You can drop in the chat or raise up your hand, then we can share. Yeah. Feel free to raise up your hand if you need to. Yeah, informative, Rukia. So kindly, Rukia, read for me the rest of the supportive.
We have insightful, we have life-changing, insightful again, amazing, enriching. Yeah, back to you, Margo.
Okay.
Wonderful.
All right. So we've had several nice words, and they're helping us to see the different perspectives in the group. And also they remind us of our collective journey as a group, because we've started this as a project that is going up to next year, and we hope that everyone will continue following up. Then maybe later we might notice some common words or themes which will show what we all valued most. Yeah, let's now go and start the assessing learning. Next slide, please. Okay, so during the courses, when we were doing the assessing learning, we had inclusive and fair assessment for learning strategies, and balancing tests with deeper learning. And one of the biggest takeaways that I can say was how the course reminded us that assessment must be inclusive and fair. It's not just about grades, but about making sure all learners are supported. We also revisited the idea of assessment for learning, where feedback is continuous and learners are part of the process. Then another strong point was balancing test preparation with deeper learning. Test matters, but they shouldn't be only the driver of what we teach. Yeah, so the key lesson, feedback is one-off event. And as we can see, I've written there, feedback is a cycle of growth. So I remember during the last webinar that we had from Isaac and Tiberius, we saw it's a continuous thing. It's a cycle that helps us, learners, and also us as teachers to keep growing. Next slide, please. So the second course that we went through was integrating digital technologies. And what we came up with was there was confidence in evaluating and adapting tools, focus on digital inclusion, building learners' digital competencies. And we saw again from the last webinar where people really enjoyed and talked about all the digital tools that they've come across. And we hope that you'll try them in the classroom. And I remember Isaac said, don't take it in a rush, just be slow, try one at a time, and you'll be able to do. So with that, I think we've also gained a lot of confidence in adapting these digital tools in our classrooms. Maybe we'll share that after the session, how you've managed to use some of them. Then also, we are reminded that not all learners have the same access. So equity has to be considered in every digital decision as a teacher. It also pushed us to see technology differently, not just as gadgets or apps, but as a bridge to help learners build essential competencies like problem solving and teamwork and collaboration. Then the key insight here was the technology is not the end goal. It's a tool to deepen and support our learning. Now we need to compare both assessing learning and the digital. So we had feedback and reflection are central. When we put both courses side by side, one theme that stood out is how central feedback and reflection are. And I remember the assessing lesson, assessing learners, we had also inclusive on special needs. I'm touching that on special needs because I do SNE. So there are times that we don't look at that. And when we were discussing the modules, when we were doing module 1, during the breakout rooms, we really learned a lot about how the feedback and reflection really helps us. And it's whether in assessment or in using technology, the feedback drives progress, really helps a lot. So the equity was another strong thread in assessment. We talked about fairness. Digital learning, we talked about access as well, but both point to the same value, make sure no learner is left behind. Then both courses, peer collaboration and enriched learning, both courses encouraged us to focus less on theory and more on practical application. And as we're seeing that we are doing CBC is more of learner-centered. So I would urge teachers to embrace that and continue encouraging learners to also use group work so that they may be able to know these tools well and apply on practical measures. So what matters most is what we try out in our classrooms. And on the same note, I remember also when we met for the workshop, those who did the workshop, we were saying it will be very good if a teacher can just come from your school, from another school and come to your class and be able to deliver and be able to teach. So that program exchange. So I feel us doing these courses and doing them in a community together and upgrading all of us together, developing career-wise, we'll be able to bring these learners in the classroom to practice in everything. Yeah, and learning with and from each other has enriched the whole experience. I remember the breakout rooms were very, very okay and informative. All in all, apart from that, we also had our challenges and growth areas, adapting global examples to local realities. Of course, we have low resources in some places, then also the translation in some local classrooms. I don't know, I remember when we were looking at the policy of teaching English in Kenya, that lower primary, they start with the mother tongue, then or the common language in the common area. So most of the urban places, they will use Kiswahili before transitioning to English. So that can also be a challenge when you're using these tools. Then another challenge is also ensuring all learners are included, both in assessment and in digital access. Some learners may need extra support, and it takes creativity to provide it. So in inclusion, that again, I'll go the way of the SME. So there are those who really need, those who are teaching in schools that have inclusion. Maybe you have to take time with some of them. Those who are using sign language or using the brailles, you'll have to ensure that there is an extra support of maybe having a scribe to help the learner, or even someone to read for them. Yeah, and then some of us building confidence with new tools or strategies took time. I remember when we were doing the registration of the courses, people were there saying, I've gone to module 1. When I came back, I can't find the exact place to come in. So it was really a challenge. But at the end of it, after doing these 2 courses, I'm sure now when we start the 3rd one, we'll be able to maneuver everything without an issue. Then we also discovered that, that small, consistent changes can have a very big impact. We don't need to transform everything at once. So just as I said, try one tool at a time. If it's if you're doing Kahoot, just try that at a time. Don't mix. Also, the learners will be mixed, and maybe out of excitement, they'll not be able to concentrate and catch what you really want to achieve. So moving forward, the next steps, building a community of practice. Let's go to the next build a community of practice, share local examples and stories, advocate for institutional support, commit trying one ideal this term. So yeah, so I really wish that everyone will try one thing that they've learned from the 2 courses and also the other courses that will be done. I pray that you'll be able to try one thing, because learning doesn't stop with these courses. We have to keep on supporting each other also. If you've tried something and you're able to see it really worked, come and share also in the WhatsApp groups and tell us, I tried this in class and I think it can work for everyone. Then we should also focus on sharing local classrooms examples. Those practical stories are what help us grow as a group. So at the same time, it's also important to advocate for institutional support. So with LPAC, we really get a lot of support. And also from this British Council, there are so many resources that we can get to be able to teach. Then most importantly, let's each commit to trying at least one new idea, just as I've said. So, so lastly, I'll leave you with this word. We are no longer just course participants. We are practitioners and leaders, shaping the future of teaching in our own context. So our next course is planning lesson plans. And I hope you'll be able to join the courses and be able to do them as well and share what you'll get. So we'll share the link also on the chat box for you to be able to start the course, register and start. For those who have already registered on your account, you'll just go to your account, then you go to your portfolio, check on the courses, And under the training and courses, you'll be able to register for this course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. And kindly let's give Margot some flowers. There's one thing you mentioned that I really found very empowering. The fact that people have been able to build their self-efficacy in even the registration of the courses. And now when we go to the third one, it's going to be easier as we move. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And there's one message here that I want to read that I felt was very interesting. AR, that's what appears on my screen, forgive me. He said, when you are asking about the feedback on the courses, the person said disruptive in the positive sense of radically changing pedagogical strategies. I think that is very powerful. And thank you so much for that. So I see, thanks Margot from Frederick. Kindly share the link on the chat. Yeah, please, Margot, share the link to the course on the chat, or at least you're the one who can copy and paste it. Then thank you so much from South Africa, from participants to practitioners and leaders. This is a good takeaway. Thank you so much. So Margot, I'll now take it back to you. It is very interesting indeed from Angola. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Angola. Back to you, Margot, so that you can usher in Elizabeth.
Before you do that, Margot, I think someone's hand was up. I think it was Chairman. There was a hand that was consistently up.
No, that was not intended to be up. It was a mistake. I wanted to react to something. So sorry, go on.
Okay. So our second speaker is Elizabeth Atieno. She's taught for 15 years. She's really well experienced and one of our active members. And I'm sure she'll say more about herself as she starts the session. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Margot. You've done a very good introduction to our presentation. Thank you for that. And we are just here to ensure that we move from the course and we are able to take this and we put them in practice within the classroom so that we can grow as teachers and we can grow in this profession. So I want to move on swiftly to the second part of our presentation, which will talk about lesson planning. The whole idea of being a teacher is how do you, for delivery to be very effective, preparation is very important. And one of the most important documents that we take to the classroom and that ensures that teaching goes on as is intended is the lesson plan. So we'll take just a bit of the time to go through this. On your screen, there's a question there. Maybe you can share with me on the chat and Margot will be looking at that. How would you describe your current lesson planning approach? Are you the type that is structured and very clear in your lesson planning? Are you the one that prepares your lesson plan in the very last minute when you're full, you have a lot of stress, you have to run to class and you do a sketch of it and you go with it to class? Or are you creative but very messy? Please share in the chat as Margot is looking at that. We realize lesson planning is one of the very key elements of what we do in the classroom.
We have Francisco says, both Francisca and Francisco both say structured and clear. Then we have Hamisi, creative but messy. Jacqueline, structured and clear. Adeline, structured and clear. Chairman, structured and clear. Meritago, structured and clear. Then we have Lillian Moodley goes creative but messy. Now people are really typing, so I'm even losing some of them. So lesson plan is a teacher's guide. That's from Raphael. Davis Amukoye says last minute and stressful. Mulenga says structured and clear. Then we have Diego, last minute and stressful. Then Jacqueline, AI makes it a lot easier to structure and clear. Martin Ngash, structured and clear. Yeah, most of them are structured and clear. Louis and Abilio also structured and clear. Yeah,
Okay.
Patricia Waithera also structured and clear.
Okay, thank you for that enormous response. Clearly, we are doing the right thing. And so the bigger question then is, when we are making those lesson plans, what is our focus? On the screen, I have two pictures. Again, I'll need your interaction on the charts. Look at the picture on my left. I think that should be your right. The boy that is seated in front of a laptop, and with all those things running around his head. And then, of course, we have the Go Happy Girl on the side. On the chart share, what kind of learners you think they are? Which of them do you think is a CBC learner, and which one do you think is an 844 learner? With reason, of course. So that as we are walking into the idea of lesson planning, then we take it from what did we used to do for one learner, and what can we do for the next learner to ensure that learning is smooth and that learning takes place. Irene, you'll still help me with the charts on this one. Which of these learners do you think? Yes, go on.
I think she was responding to the previous question about structured and clear. Mm-hmm. We have Francisca. One is 844. It was more focused on performance. Patricia says picture 1 is 844 and picture 2 is CBE. Wycliffe says A is 844 and B is CBE.
Okay, and you can see the difference between those two learners in terms of what focus each of those systems or curriculums put into place, and I'm going to tap into that later on in the presentation. I have another question for you, and I'll just go straight into it. That when you're doing this lesson planning, when you want to write that lesson plan, whether you're doing it at the right time, whether it is structured, or whether you are last minute or you're messy, but which words come to your mind the moment someone talks about a lesson plan? Which words come to your mind? Maybe just one or two people. I can allow one person to put up their hand and say something. Or you can respond in the chat equally. That is still very interactive for us.
Yeah, we have Francisco says learning map. We have also Jacqueline saying focus. Raphael, good feedback and assessment. Thank you from Angola. Then also Josephine says learning resources and timing.
Okay, thank you so much. With the project that we are doing with the British Council, with our Mindshift project, and we are trying to ensure that we move from one system to another, it is very proper that we understand what it is that we have done all along when it comes to lesson planning and what that needs to move to. When we have words like on the screen, when we think about a topic, or when we think about a strand, it takes us to one of those two systems. When we talk about outcomes, we know in effect we are talking about the CBC system because it focuses on the learning outcomes that the learner is supposed to achieve at the end of the lesson. But in 844, of course, we called that learning objectives. When we talk about experiences, which is new to us, I like Margot so much because Margot has been talking to us about these elements of CBE from the first time that I met her, which is a long way back. And as 844 focused on learning and teaching activities, because the focus was on the teacher, CBE is now coming in with experiences. And with the experiences, we are focusing on the learner. What is this that the learner can do within this lesson? What is it that the learner can do to achieve a competence, to acquire a skill, or even to form a specific attitude? So while these words all mean the same, CBE has focused on a few and 844 focused on others. Where 844 talks about topics, CB is now talking about strands. Where we talked about subtopics, we are now focusing on the word substrand. But the foundation of it all is all the same. The differences are in the approach to them. Which approach did we give with 844 and which approach are we adapting with CBE? I like the idea of the key inquiry question. Again, I learned this very early on from Margot, that as you're walking into that class, there's one specific question that you're focusing your lesson on, and that at the end of that particular lesson, that particular question has to have been answered, and answered by way of the learners acquiring competencies and skills, like I've said before. That was something that we did not have in the 844 system, and we are picking it up at the CBC level. The extended activity is not a new concept, it's just a new name, but we knew it as an assignment or an assessment in the 844 system. So when we're doing this lesson planning, we just want to be very clear as the project goes on that our focus is with the CBE lesson. And so with the CBE lesson, what kind of lesson plans are we looking forward to? We are going to move from an 844 lesson plan that was content-based, that was geared towards transmitting knowledge and facts. And now we are focusing on development of competencies and skills, because it's about what the learner can do, and it's about preparation of the learner for the world of work, not just for passing an exam somewhere. Where 844 was very teacher-centered, and most of us thrived in this because it was the teacher comes to the front, you deliver the content, and the learners receive information from you. Now we are moving away from that, and we are telling the teacher, take a little bit of a periphery, guide learning, don't be the center of learning. So we are moving to a lesson plan that is learner-centered. And at the end of today, Rukia is going to show us one that is really learner-centered, and you can see how the learner takes the focus of the lesson, and the teacher just facilitates, scaffolding at the corner somewhere. Again, with the 844, we all went through it, most of us, and we know the rigidity that came with the 844 system. And those lesson plans were crafted on a format that had to be followed. It was an introduction that gets into the development and gets to an exercise and then gets to an assignment. But what if I walk into the classroom, and once I've done my introduction and I'm walking into the development of the lesson, I realized that a learner did not quite pick up what was done at the introduction. Do I simply say I was done with the introduction, so let me move on? That shouldn't work, because with the CB lesson plan, we want to adapt it to the learner within the class. So as much as you're walking into your classroom with this lesson plan, you're going to adapt it to what you find within the classroom. You're going to adapt it to the feedback that you receive from the learners as you teach. And so as a teacher, you're going to have to be very flexible on your feet and very adaptive to make sure that it works with what feedback you receive from the classroom. And I think that's the beauty of what we are walking into. Finally, 844 was very much assessment driven. Rote learning took the center stage. Testing was based on recall. Again, that is changing. And we are talking now about a lesson plan that will still do assessment, but it will focus on continuous assessment, assessment of learning and assessment for learning. All of those will happen. Within the classroom, like I've said, feedback will be rolled back into the lesson itself so that the lesson outcomes are achieved. The other beautiful thing that I like with the lesson plans that are in CBC is the idea of the authentic assessment. It's not just an assessment of what was covered. It is assessment geared towards bringing this knowledge to the learner's level and to situations that are relevant to the learner. Say, for example, if you're a teacher, or you're a language teacher, and for that particular day you have taught, let's say it is poetry, for example. We know with the 844, the focus will be on the meaning of the poem, the stylistic devices. But then at the end of the day, how does this help the learner? When they go back home, how can they bring this to their environment? So that authentic task is something that I look forward to seeing when we roll out the adapted lesson plan, as we are going to do a few moments from now. We try to compare those two, that if you are teaching poetry with the 844 lesson plan, your objective is on the identification of stylistic devices, analysis of the poem in terms of themes, characterization, and such like we have done, like we still continue to do for the Form 4 class now, and Form 3 and 2 as they come along. That within the content of the poem, again, our focus would be on the stylistic elements of it if we were drafting a lesson plan with the 844 approach. When it comes to methodology within that lesson plan, again, how do we teach? Lecture method. If we deviate from that a little bit, then we do a bit of presentation and a bit of group work, but it's still geared towards the elements of knowledge only. And then at the end of it, you're going to give an assignment, and we know the questions. You can even type some on the chat, the type of questions we would have been asking if you're teaching poetry in 844 approach. What is the poem about? Who is the persona? What are the stylistic devices that you can pick out from the poem? That is the approach that 844 would have given it. But would it be the same if we were looking at it from the CBC approach? We said the focus was going to be on the competence. So as opposed to saying that I want you to be able to identify stylistic devices, we are saying that I'll teach the poem, yes, but I want the learner to acquire the competency of critical thinking. So I want the learner to demonstrate that critical thinking as they interpret the poetry. I want the learners to develop effective communication to show their understanding of the poem. So I might have them do group work, but when where will the assessment fall? When they now come before the class and they are communicating whatever it is that they were discussing in their groups and how they present it. The learning activities will vary. We will move away from the lecture method, of course. Now our focus will be on group discussions, like we said, because it is engagement and it is participation and it is the little things that the learner can do by themselves to come upon the knowledge that you are trying to deliver. And the assessment, how will it come in? Again, you can go so many ways. It doesn't have to be just written assessment. You can bring it back to peer feedback. It can be self-assessment. And even if you end up doing written assessment, then the learner can still tailor it towards whatever it is that they have acquired, and they're learning as you go on with your lesson. So the focus there then is that with this new lesson plan that we are going to come up with, where are we placing the teacher and how will it be helpful to the teacher? This lesson plan is going to boost the confidence of the teacher. It is going to allow this teacher to deliver, but not be the focus of the delivery. He will come in to guide, and he will, ensure that the students progress within the lesson. It will also outline the content and the activities that the teacher can use and can adapt within the classroom to ensure that he is able to meet the outcomes that he has set out for the lesson. The flexible nature of this lesson plan is also going to allow this teacher to transform his classroom into a hub of creativity, a hub of performance, because we are looking for engagement. When you have taught these two systems, you can literally see yourself, how you would walk into an 844 class and you're teaching, you ask a question and they're not saying any answers. Now look at it from the other point of view. If it is participatory and you're giving an activity and they participate, from the activity you get your feedback and you bring it back to your lesson. So that engagement within the lesson will be very good for both the teacher and the learner. And finally, this new approach to the lesson plan will help teachers to adjust their teaching style and the needs of their lessons in real time, because we said it was going to be very flexible. So they can adjust their methodology to what the students are that particular day. And that adjustment is going to ensure that learning takes place. So in short, what we are saying with this is that as we move away from the courses and as we come down to the lesson plan, think about it. What elements have you acquired from those lessons that you want to bring into the lesson plan? Margot did say that at the end, you can let us know what did you pick, what was interesting, what was valuable from the 2 courses that we have done so far that you would want to bring into the lesson plan that we are preparing. So that as we get to adapting that lesson plan, as Rukia is going to show us, then we can see where those approaches come in. We can see how we have moved on from teacher-centeredness to learner-centeredness. She can show us the flexibility of these teaching methodologies, as we are saying over here. I think with that, I want to say thank you. Back to you, Margot.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a really awesome session, and I'm sure people have grabbed a lot in that short time. And before we go to the next speaker, maybe I'll just read the last messages after we spoke. There was Valentine Kosgei, objectives to be achieved at the end of the strand. I think these ones were coming in as you're explaining the difference between the 844 and the CBC, the different names that were there. Yeah, so we have Beatrice Anangwe, the learner. Then we have, Professor Wangari is here, so thank you for joining. Steps and facilities required in the teaching and learning process. Then we have Augustine Rono says, a blueprint that shows the teacher's preparations. And, okay, I've lost you. And preparedness. Then we have Jacqueline Dianca who says, having the learner in mind in every stage of the planning, including teaching aids and resources. I agree to that. Then we have Augustine Rono, effective lesson planning, student-centered, contextualized, balanced skills, flexibility, cultural, relevant, and assessment built in. That's very, very key. Then we have Query says lesson plan is a roadmap. Then we have Augustine again, PPP model in lesson planning. That's presentation, practice, production. And actually those are some of the words that will come across when we start that course on the planning, lesson planning that is there. And they have also the TBL. You'll really meet those ones on your module 1. And that's other frameworks include ESA, Engage, Study, Activate, then TBL, task-based learning. Yeah, you'll learn more about that in the next course. We'll share the link before the session is over. Then we have Rafael says it was profitable, Rafael from Angola. Then we have Liz is thanking you. So this time, we go to our next speaker. So Liz, you'll take the moderation from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. And now in the next section of our presentation, we'll have Rukia. And Rukia will show us how to adapt a lesson plan from the British Council into our lessons. She'll also say more about herself. Welcome, Rukia.
Thank you so much, Liz and Margot. Maybe we can go back to the previous slide. Thank you. So having heard what Margot and Elizabeth have told us, kindly in the chat, please share one thing that you want to either stop doing in your lesson planning or start trying out or continue because it works well. And I can have even one person unmute and explain further. So Liz, you can be checking in the chats. And if there's anyone whose hands is up, then we can allow one person to say something about their choice.
Okay, so far, just one person, Francisca, says continue because it works well. I encourage others to also share their opinion. Martina says the same, continue because it works well. Same to Diana Jacqueline.
Thank you so much.
Huambo, yes, Huambo also says the same. And Francisca says, I will take my time when preparing for my lessons. Okay?
Thank you so much. So you can keep on sharing. And if there's anyone who wants to unmute and tell us more, please let us know with your virtual
I think
hand.
we have a hand up. We have Augustine. His hand is up.
Okay, please go ahead.
Augustine, please unmute and say something. Meanwhile, as we wait.
This is Augustine.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, this is Augustine. So maybe I'll go with choice one. Something that I would want to stop doing in my lesson planning would be to stop overloading the lesson plans with too many activities that cannot fit into the time, the stipulated time, because it will mean that it's going to lead to rushing or skipping the reflection at the end of the lesson. And maybe I would also want to stop writing objectives that are vague. For example, students will learn about stress instead of maybe measurable outcomes, like students will be able to list 3 coping strategies for stress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can read 1 or 2 more from the chats, then I can.
Okay,
move on.
Catherine said, I will stop giving general objectives and I want to introduce practical aspects in my lesson. Patricia says, add more key inquiry questions. Moria, plan with authentic tasks in mind. Davis, I want to stop remaking covered, done on remarks, or remarking, sorry, covered, done on the remarks column and replace it with more measurable comments. Back to you, Ruki.
Thank you so much. I like the comments, and I'm trying to reflect as I look at the poll results that talked of. Many people were actually saying that they're having a challenge with the time. And I think Augustine has given us one strategy that he's going to use to improve by reducing the activities that he's putting into the lesson plan. And then I like what he said about instead of having vague objectives, he'll make sure to pinpoint exactly what this learner will have left that classroom with. And this actually points us to the competencies as CBE we are supposed to help our learners acquire even as we move with our lessons. So thank you so much. We can move to the next slide. So here again, in the adaptation, I would still want to find out how have you, because we are moving from what Margot told us about the courses that we did. While you were doing the courses, which strategies did you pick from the lesson, the courses that you are doing that you're going to now move them forward to your lesson plan? So what we are asking is, how have you used or plan to use the content from the courses that you have done in your lesson plans? So you can choose any of the 5, place them in the chat, and if one person wants to unmute, we can have time for that also. So maybe Liz, you can be reading the chats.
Okay. We have Josephine Mugaka says, I'd like to involve the learners more and improve on resources. Vivian, I will ensure that I share the objectives to the learners before we begin the lesson, so that learners also put more effort in ensuring that we achieve objectives at the end of the lesson. Patricia says, identify how to assess my learners. Valentine, the reflection I will not generalize because all the learners should be captured, including the learners who never understood the strand. And if so, what am I supposed to do as a teacher? Martina says to set lesson objectives. Davis, plan lessons and prepare materials for the lessons. And Amisi says we'll prepare lesson materials early enough. Rukia.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we can actually adapt lesson plans. I mean, whatever we learned from the courses to enhance our lesson plans in different ways and in enriching the different parts of our lesson plan. So we can move. Again, I'm asking you to share in the chat which course you have done or plan to do, because we are talking about assessment for learning and digital technologies, integrating them in our classrooms. Maybe there's someone who has done it and others haven't done it, but you can share which one you did in the chat, and also how you have or you plan to use its context in the lesson planning. It's sort of similar to what we've been answering, but now I want us to go a bit more specific. If there's something you remember from the courses that you want to include in your lesson plan. I know I saw a lot of nice certificates in our chats, so I believe we are still fresh. Is there anything in the chat?
Yes, I think Judith could have still been commenting on the other one. I will apply digital activities where learners themselves carry out activities using computers so that they can learn not only content, but also skills. Bernard will prepare relevant materials in good time. Akombo Dedan intends to do a course on digital technologies. That is good. Catherine is happy to be in the meeting and is hoping that she will compare her lessons to what she has taught today, the preparation and the lesson structure, if you like, and she can share a picture of the structure. I don't know if she's going to share today or on the wall. And then we have Francisco Maneko says digital technologies, integration, and AI for educators. I think he hopes to do that course. Back to you, Rukia.
Thank you so much. We can move to the next slide. So here I was able to adapt a lesson plan from the Teaching English website with a class of learners who I was taking through social emotional learning in the English language classroom. And if you're able to click on this first link, Liz, to take us to that particular lesson plan so that we can have people. Yeah, so for the social emotional learning, at that point, we were looking at, maybe you can just stop there. We were looking at emotional management. So this particular lesson was about the core aim was on speaking skills, but the content aim was on managing emotions. So here I got this lesson plan, and if you can move further down, there's a place whereby here, down there, where we have downloads. And under the downloads, since it was a speaking lesson, we also got an audio from this particular lesson plan. So like trying to show how rich the resources are, because you get the lesson plan and you also get the audio that you're going to use in that lesson. And down here, please read on your end, Liz, because from my side, it's too. Just read the resources that are here to download.
We have Managing Emotions lesson plan, Managing Emotions student worksheet. Then there's a transcript and an audio file.
Yeah. So all these were there for my taking and using them into the classroom that I was taking through the social emotional learning. So if you go back to our slides and click on the second link. So this is how the lesson plan looked like. If you can see from at the top, I think the duration is 60 minutes, right? Please read for me on your end.
Just a second. Yes, duration is 60 minutes.
Yeah.
The
So
age
the duration
is
was
13.
Age is 13 to 17. I had a mixed classroom, Form 2, but the Form 2 to Form 3, and the ages were also that range, 13, 14, 15 to 17. So this really suited them. Then we had the different activities and all that. So now I was trying to now put this into the context of our classes, which are usually 40 minutes. So I adapted it in, if we are to use traffic lights, I used a yellow light, whereby I took this lesson plan and changed it a bit. I didn't use it the way it was, the way I picked it from the Teaching English website. So I changed a few things. There were some activities here, and you're going to get this particular recording, and we might share the slides so that you can be able to click on those links. So you'll find that there are some activities that were supposed to take individuals, to be done by individuals. The worksheets were supposed to be done by individuals. What I did is I changed them to group activities to save on the time, still now taking us back to maybe the challenge of time in our classrooms. And maybe that is, again, the big elephant in the room when we are moving from 844, which was teacher-centered, to CBE, which is student-centered. And as a teacher, you would ask yourself, where will I get the time to do all these activities in the class? And for us, we were able to do this in groups, and it really saved time. And as we were doing that, I was able to assess for learning, because as they were doing the group work and listening to the audio, I could actually pick through observation on where maybe I needed to explain further, and also clarify some things, so that by the time they were presenting, they were able to present in a way that they have improved and had maybe discussions that would enhance their communication, collaboration. So you're seeing the competencies in CBE are also coming in. So maybe you can go back and we can look at the other lesson plan that I adapted, the last link.
I need to request. I can't get to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what is it saying? Oh, you need access. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but we are going to share the link. So what I did is I took you can just go back to the slides. I'm not able to share on my end because I'm in darkness because of the rain, but we are going to share a PDF of this presentation. You can be able to click on this link, and I'll update the access. So I took now the CBE lesson plan and used AI to help me change the lesson plan that you saw into CBE format. And also I prompted it in terms of time and asked it to change the activities from individual to group and all that. And we had a lesson plan that we were able to use in the classroom. So thank you. We can move to the next slide. Yeah, so we come to the end of our session, and yeah, our contacts, you'll get them in our, when we share the slides in case of any questions. And maybe we can move to the next slides and take 1 or 2 questions. Then we can call it night.
Can I read some of the chats on the, some of the comments on the chats?
Yeah, please.
Okay, Josephine said, I've done both and really love to include digital resources and also try to create the digital resources I learned about. I'm yet to try any of the games. Mansoor says thank you. And Chairman says thanks for participating in our webinars. Jane says great tips, Rukia. And Bernard says thanks for the great session. Back to you.
Thank you so much. So we are able to take 1 or 2 questions, and also feedback. If you want to unmute, please. Thank you.
As we do that, there was a question earlier. I think Jane asked if there's a limit to the number of QIQ questions, key inquiry questions that one can put in a lesson. Maybe Margo can take that up.
I think Margo
Margo?
had been out and she's joining again, so maybe you can just take it. As you do that, I think it will depend on, again, as we are looking at the time. So it's very important to focus on the time and also look at these questions that you're asking. Will they overwhelm the learners, or will you be able to, at the end of the day, achieve the outcomes that you wanted for your classroom? Please, Liz, you can add something.
Okay, like she says, the QIQ is a focusing question. It focuses the content that you will cover for this one. So you don't want to, like it says, overburden your lesson with so many of them. You can choose one, you can have 2, that would be, I think, enough. Going for 3 would just be, I think, overwhelm your lesson. So I would say 2. On the chat, Tara says, wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot for able presenters. Ombiru, you're doing great. To look for what we don't do and bring it home. Kerubo, we can allow some. Then give it back to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So someone is asking, can I also use this in the primary school? Yes, I believe so. Because at the end of the day, for all the senior, junior, primary, the lower school, and then the junior school, then the junior, the senior, they're all supposed to upskill insofar as the competencies are concerned. And this is a format that would really help you capture the competencies. So thank you so much. We are going to share the link to the all the different links, and also a link to the survey. And there's something in the chat. Lillian says that has been the challenge, especially to fit the 40 minutes and availability of resources. At least I'll try to follow the guidelines. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rukia. Before you finish, maybe something you could clarify. Let me start by welcoming everyone to the webinar. I was kicked out during the last webinar because of unstable network. Thank God today I have corrected that. That is technology. Those who attended our webinars, there was a link after sharing the feedback. There's a way that they can print their certificates of participation. I printed mine. Could you explain maybe how they can get their certificates after, what do they need to do so that they get their certificates after attending our webinars? There's a very beautiful certificate, Rukia.
Thank you so much, Chair, for that and for the compliment of the certificate. What we do after you fill in the survey form, we get the emails of the people who filled the survey, and we do send you a form where you input your full names, the way you want them to appear in your certificates, and then you can actually download it. It will be sent to your email immediately you submit the form. So I urge everyone who's here, I really want to encourage you to fill the survey form, because it's through the survey form we are able to send you the link to the form that will give you access to your certificate. I hope I've answered your question, Chair.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for that. A very beautiful certificate. If they do that, they'll be able to get it, download it, and print it. And then lastly, because I'm around, I would like to thank everyone who has attended. And don't worry, the chairman is here. So don't worry. Some of you may be thinking maybe I attended the last one and this one. I've not heard anything from the chairman. So don't worry. Thank you.
Thank you for reassuring us, Chair. And Jen is also here if she wants to say something. Especially maybe you can tell us something about Africa ELTA. And I see the days are really not on our side. Jen, if you are here.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Rukia, Elizabeth, and Margot. That was such an awesome session. I have learned quite a lot. Thank you for the tips. And we are looking forward to implementing the CBE now in the next level. As Rukia has mentioned, we'll be hosting the next Africa ELTA conference that brings together the teachers of English in Africa and across the world. Part of the participation is being a presenter at the conference, and we are almost at the end of the deadline for presenting our proposals. That will be on the 15th of October. I just want to encourage our members to participate by sharing or writing proposals so that they can be part of the presenters in the conference. So how to do that? You go to the website, Africa ELTA website, and you'll find how to share your proposals there. It could be a workshop, a presentation, so many areas in which you can share your proposal. So in case you need people to partner with, please go back to your chapters and look for someone you can partner with to do a proposal. We are also sharing the links or YouTube links where we can see how to write a proposal. So please join us as we celebrate the 10th annual conference of the Africa ELTA. I think it will be a great deal because it will be the 10th anniversary. Thank you very much and happy to see everyone here. Thank you, Rukia.
Thank you so much. So I want to take this opportunity again to thank you members for joining and for actively participating. And my co-facilitators, Irene and Elizabeth, thank you so much. And I'll give this to you to give your parting shot, and then we can end the meeting.
Thank you, Rukia. I also want to appreciate everyone. People are still logging on. I wish I could tell them it is over, but we are very thankful that you take the time to be with us, and it's a long way for us who are in school. And for those of us that are in school, it was just fresher because you're already doing this. Thank you so much.
Irene. I think Irene is also having challenges. You're here. Good.
Yeah, I got challenges, but I managed to join from the phone. So I've been following. And what I can say is that I really appreciate for you people joining and your participation, also being active, sharing on the messages and all that was really awesome. And we appreciate all of you. And we look forward to more people attending. And I'll also take the chance to acknowledge the presence of Professor Wangari Mwai. I like acknowledging her because the first time I joined a WhatsApp group, it was full of doctors, professors, and I was like, oh dear, will I ever manage to be in this place? But they really made my life so simple from there. And you learn from them a lot as they also learn from us. So never, I'm saying this to just tell you that never look yourself upon down just because you're seeing other people are maybe teaching a higher level than you. Otherwise, all of us, we are capable of doing anything. So I'll leave you with that verse of, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens. So even as we do the first course, the second course, so the third one, it's all over. Yeah, let us see those flowers on the groups as you share your certificates as well. And also the other thing that I can mention is that when you do these things, if you want to be active on the social media like the LinkedIn, the Facebook, for you to grow, you also have to keep on sharing these items, these certificates and all that. Otherwise, your resume will just remain there if you don't update it. Remember, British Council is verified in globally. So these certificates are not just a waste of time or anything. They can really work on your resume. Yeah. So maybe before I hand over back to you, Rukia, maybe we can have a word from Professor Wangari, please.
Thank you so much. I also take an opportunity to welcome her and also congratulate her for their newly registered Literature and Performing Arts Society of Kenya. We are there as silent followers, but we learn a lot. Karibu, Prof.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure also to listen. Sometimes we talk too much and we forget to listen. I'm learning a lot too by listening at the back on your presentations. And you know, CB, if there's anybody who is worried, it starts at the university. So when I listen to you, I feel I'm ahead of others. We do not know what to expect. We do not know what to do. This is when we are starting at even workshops for all teachers of all subjects. So this being my subject and my area of interest, I learn a lot. That's why I always peep in whenever Margot encourages us on our walls. And yeah, it's good that some of you are also in the other creative areas. It's fun. And then you also get an opportunity to publish because we announce all the publications that we have. So welcome, let us share across walls and learn from one another. Whatever your position, there's always room for learning more. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana, Prof. All right, thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Prof.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, Prof is the Vice Chancellor of Presbyterian University. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. And I want to take this opportunity to wish you guys a good night as you take your rest.
Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a good night. Have a good day.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Valentine. Thank you, everyone.